Hi, and welcome to Manny's Makings. Today we are going to be making sort of a boho style or double wrap bracelet. I'm going to be using lots of different things. What I want you to do is raid your beads, raid everything you have, different pieces and bits and pieces and bubbles, and find your own combination for this. This would be great. So, because you're not going to have some of these pieces, I picked these up. They're silver at my local reservation. You're not going to be able to find those online. So there's, things you won't be able to find online, but most of it you would be able to. And I have lots of links attached above here to give you further information on how to substitute this with something else, how to make it yourself, that kind of stuff. So definitely check those videos out as well. For Peyote, there's a link as well. So we're going to make this bracelet. It's going to be lots of fun. Yay! So there's going to be a full list of materials below. Everything you're going to need, and I'm going to quickly go through some of them as quick as I possibly can. So you're going to need Delicas. As you can see, there's Delicas in this section, and those Delicas are coming from a set from Fusion Beads. It's a vintage palette. You get all these different colors of vintage beads. Delicas in the same set, and they're actually quite a large size. And what's nice about this little package is it gives you all the colors and the labels of what colors you're using. So I'll be able to list those all below. So you're using, 5 colors of the Delicas out of that set. You're going to need some, these are head pins. You're going to need some jump rings. You're going to need some soft flex beading wire. You're going to need a toggle clasp. You're going to need some charms. You're going to need, these are fire polish, both 6mm and 4mm fire polish. You're going to need some, because of the beading wire, we're going to need some crimp tubes and some crimp covers. So I have, this is wire and this is on wire and this is on wire. So there's 3 sections that are put on wire. I'm going to show you how to do this section first, and then I'm going to explain this section and show you how to do the crimp and attach it, and then I'm going to show you how to do this section here. This is exactly the same as this, just different place and different grouping of beads. This is the same as this, just a smaller version of it, so I don't have to show you those over and over again. So it's hopefully won't be too long of a video and you can enjoy it and have some fun. This is a great bracelet. It looks phenomenal when it's on. As you can see, everything sort of moves around, and then you get this other bigger set of beads. So you have like the 3 sets of beads in the, see if I can get it to focus. I haven't done it up, but that's basically what you end up with on your, there you go. You end up on your thing. So I love it. It's like so much fun, and you have the fire polish. So this is for somebody for Christmas. So excited, very excited. So yeah, so get some of your supplies together. Check the list below, please. And some just quick business is if you want to support my videos, one of the things I've done lately is create a Patreon account, and for as little as $2 a month you can help support my channel and help me continuing to make these videos. I'm working towards getting a new camera because camera is an issue. Lots of people complain about the focus. I just can't afford a $700 camera or $800 camera or more. I just can't afford it. So I do the best I can with what I have. So if you want to help contribute towards that, that would be super awesome. Yeah, so check that out. The link's below for the Patreon account. If you want to sign up and become a patron, I'd appreciate that. If you can't afford that, that's fine as well. You're more than welcome to check out the account. Some things are for free on that account. The other thing is you can friend me on Facebook and become my friend. I would love that. And when you become my friend on Facebook, although it's a personal account, I use it only for this YouTube channel, and you're more than welcome to post things on my page there that other people can see and we can share as part of the group, so that we can sort of hang out together. And just don't post business stuff, only post what you made from one of my videos, and I'll be very happy. Plus you get to see updates of what's been going on. As you know, I have been sick for a week and I am so sorry about that. So I'm back and I'm making things and I'm happy. So we will see you later as we go through this tutorial. Get everything ready. Okay, so we're ready to start the peyote piece. So I have my beading thread, my wildflower, and my size 10 beading needle, and I have my beads laid out, and I'm trying a new technique where I leave the background fuzzy, and means I can't move around a lot, but we'll see. Hopefully this will help with you seeing. So I'm going to start my peyote, and it's just four wide, so let's start with white here. Doesn't really matter what color I start with, so I'm picking up 4 beads. These are the 11-0 Delicas. That's what they look like. Okay, and I'm going to bring them down on my needle, and I'm going to leave, you should leave about 6 to 8 inches of beading thread. And okay, so just so you can see what I actually do here. So I have my tail in my hand here. I grab a hold of my tail with my fingers. Then I bring it around between my first and second finger. And then I use my thumb to hold the other part of, that's the one leading to the needle, on the needle side. So that's how I hold it. So it holds it taut across this finger. And so you do that. So I just put it back. It's not a big deal. Okay. So hopefully you'll be able to see this. Now how peyote works, if you're brand new, never done it, or struggle with it like crazy, please check out the video at the top. Click the eye and go to, how to peyote. It's the simplest way that I knew how to show everybody how to do it. And if you've never done it or if you struggle with it, lots of people have watched that video now and are able to peyote that couldn't peyote before. So I've had lots of lovely comments, and I'm so appreciative. So if you don't know how to peyote, if you've never done peyote before or have never seen it before, please check that out first before you try to do this, or you're going to get frustrated probably. These are little tiny, tiny, tiny beads, okay? These are size 11-0s. So how peyote works is that you pick up a bead, you skip a bead, you go through the next bead. You pick up a bead, you skip a bead, you go through the next bead. Because I only have 4 beads, you only have to do it a couple times. So it's nice and easy. So let me just let me put these where I can actually reach them without bending over my other hand. So I have the 4 on here. I picked up a bead. I'm going to skip this first bead, and I'm going to go through the next bead. Okay? And I'm still holding with my thumb there, and when I pull up, as you can see, everything gets caught around my thumb. That's fine. What I'm going to do now is take my finger and stick it over top, switch my thumb over top, and pull up. And what I'm going to get is a little T thing. Let's pull again. Okay, so I'm going to get this little T. It's upside down, but a little stacked hat, if you want to call it. So let's bring these other 2 beads back up and around. So I just push them up and around my finger. So I'm sitting there. So I'm going to pick up a bead. I'm going to skip a bead. And I'm going to go through the next bead. Try not to stick myself in the process. Okay, so I have the 4. So I have this little thing that looks like this. I'm just holding onto the tail thread. At this point, if you want, you could tie a knot in the two threads coming out the top. It will not hold on the top bead though, so it doesn't matter anyways. So this gets tough, and I know lots of people like to see it on a board or whatever. I'm not very good at that. So as you see, I now I'm holding on to what I can of the beads and my tail thread in this hand, and I'm bringing it around this finger and then tensioning it with my second finger, so that when I come back down, I'll let go when I come back down. But so I'm going to pick up a bead. I'm going to skip this bead here. Make sure I'm in focus here. Skip this bead here and go through this next bead, just like that, and pull straight down. Now when I get to where it grabs my finger, I let go and pull down. I'm going to pick up a bead. I'm going to skip this little indentation right here. I'm going to go through this bottom bead and pull. Okay, so now I have 2 rows. Okay, actually 4 rows. So when you're doing peyote, a lot of people call everything rows. They're not. This direction is rows. This direction is columns. So I have 4 columns, 4 rows. And the reason I have 4 rows is I have 2 beads here and 2 beads here. So you can count either side, or you can count the first 2 columns. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So these 2 beads are the first row. These 2 beads are the second row. These 2 beads are the third row, and these 2 beads are the fourth row. Okay. Now I'm ready to do the next one. So what I did with the pattern that I did for the bracelet that you've seen is I just changed colors. I have those 5 colors that I told you about at the beginning, and I just did 6 beads or 3 rows. 3 rows are this way of each color as I went along. So I just picked the next color, whatever next color I want it to be, and I went up 1. And this, with this being so skinny, I don't need to flip it, but you can if you want to flip your work. And I go up 2, and then I grab another bead, and I'm just going through the sticky outies, the ones that are sticking out. See how these stick out? See how that sticks out? Helps if I look at my beading and not my camera. See how that sticks out? So you just go through the one that sticks out. And if it gets sloppy or not tight enough and you don't like it, you can grab a hold of that top bead, pull a little bit, and then pull down. And it'll tighten the whole thing up. Now, it won't work if you're 5 rows away. You got to sort of do it as you go along to keep it tight. So I'm picking up a bead, skipping a bead. Okay, so let's change my hold. I'm going to just grab a hold of the tail again. I'm still using the tail to tension. And it's just the tails, see, just wrapped around my fingers and through here. Just holding on to it so that it makes it easier for you guys. Okay, so that was 1, 2, 3, 4 of that color. I need to add 2 more of that color. 5 straight up. 6 straight up. Let's put another color. So now I'm ready for new color, so I need to do 6 beads of the next color. So let's pick something really different, like pink. 1, 2. So I'm just skipping a bead and going through the next bead. 3. 4. So I'm pulling straight up. And that's keeping my tension nice. Okay, so I need 2 more of the pink, and then I'm ready to switch colors again. And I'm just moving my fingers up closer to the beads, to the bead end, because if I hold it way down here, this is going to flop around more, and I don't want it to. I want to be able to keep my tension nice. And with the Delicas, they hold tension pretty good. So, okay, so down through that one. Try not to get your needle stuck. Okay, so I'm just going to continue to do this, just adding 6 beads or 3 rows. See? 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. See? 3 rows or 6 beads. If I do it the 6 bead count, it's easier for me. I'm going to do this till it's 5 inches long, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to attach it to your bracelet findings, the ones with the 3 holes, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I have my 5 inches of this done. Woo! And because I have it so tightly focused in, I can't even show you the whole 5 inches there. So that tells you how much space I have to work in when I'm filming. Less than 5 inches. Okay, so I have it coming out of the 1 bead. Now, this is the finding that we're going to put it in. And I've put a jump ring on, just a 5mm 18 gauge jump ring, because if you look at this bracelet and this here are both on the same plane. So see how they're both flat, right? So I have to transition and give myself somewhere I can come through that's going to keep this flat, and not make everything twist funny. So this was the easiest way to do it. So I'm just going to try to do this on the board for you. So hopefully it'll stay in focus. We'll see. Okay, so I got 5 beads of my Delicas on my thread, and I'm going to come through this loop here, and I'm going to, so I've got it coming out this end here, and I'm going to come back in on this bead here, which is the second one from the top, not the top one, but the one that's sticking out. And I'm going to come through the next bead below that, So I'm coming through those 2 beads. Let's see if we can zoom in so you can see that a little bit better. Okay, so I'm coming through those 2 beads there. So I'm coming out of that bottom one, coming through those 2 beads there. Okay, and then I'm going to pull, and then I'm going to come back down through this last bead. And I don't want to get all caught up in my own thread here, so let's get wrapped around itself here. There we go. And then I'm going to go reinforce this. So I'm going to pull nice and tight, and I'm going to reinforce it like 3 times, and then I'm going to work my thread away like you do in a normal beading project. So there's my one end attached, and because once I get it nice and tight, this ring, jump ring, is going to sit on the beads rather than on the thread. That you're less likely for it to slip off or slip out through any kind of crack that there might be or develop in the actual, you know, where the seam is on the jump ring. So I'm going to go around again. 1, 2, just making sure I'm getting them all. 3, 4. Come on. 5. Back through the 2, not the 3. So there's 2. Pull it really tight. I'm going to go one more time. So this one I got to come from this angle. There we go. Back up. I managed to get through 3 that time. That's cool. Back down through 2. So there's my 3 reinforcements. That is more than enough for the tug that this is going to get. So this time I wanted to go through 3, so I let it go through 3. And I'm just going to work my way up through these beads. See if I can find the place where it's the most focused. So I'm just working my way up through the beads. Okay, and then I'll come back down. Sometimes you can get 2 beads at a time. With Delicas, more often than not, you can only get 1. So I'm coming out of, can you see the thread there? I'm coming out of that bead there, right there. And I'm going to go up this bead next to it. We'll go up a couple. There we go. So I went up a couple. And I'm just going to go back and forth, up and down. And if you're worried about the tail end with the stress on it, you can actually go right to the edge and reinforce back up and down through this section to guarantee that you have a little bit more strength on this whole tail end. Well, it's up to you how you want to do this. But that's basically what you do. I'm going to work away some of my thread, enough that I'm happy, and I don't have to, at this point, I don't have to tie it off. It's not going anywhere. It's gone in 2 directions at least, and it's double back on itself. So as long as you go a couple of different directions and you go several beads, you're going to be more than happy. Okay, so finish doing this, and we'll attach the other end exactly the same way. And then I will meet you back here when we start to do the wire and bead piece, so that you can see how this section is done here, and how the soft flex is used to attach with beads and stuff to the actual piece. But we're going to just be attaching it here instead for you, so you can see it all. So I'll be back in a minute with that. Okay, so we're off to the beaded part. So as you can see, I have a bunch of beads strung on here, and I'm going to show you what beads I have on here. So we have our, I think those were 4mm fire polished, and those were the colorway that I showed you before. I have some IC beads still left, and then I have my O beads, and these are crystal argentic. Basically, they look like stainless steel. I have a couple of, hopefully that one of them is not a seed bead, but I have a couple of these crimp beads. So that's what these are here, is crimp beads. They're really tiny. and they're hard to see, I know. And I have wire, so I have soft flex, and I went with the medium, and that is the 26-pound. See if I can get it to focus. 26-pound medium from Soft Flex beading wire. I got one of those kits where I have light, medium, or fine, extra fine, medium, and one other one, but I only wanted to put one pass of wire through, so I wanted to be as strong as possible, and I strung beads on here. So let's zoom in a little bit and I'll show you what I've got on here. So what I did is I started with first of all, it's still attached to the spool. I never cut the wire. So just so you know, so that my beads don't fall off that side, because they'll just work their way. I'm just getting the spool back up. So they're still attached to the spool. See? And on this end is the end that I was holding, the other end here. So that was not an issue. So all I did was I took them and put the beads and like on the end, because this is stiff enough and strong enough that it's not an issue. So all I did was did a pattern, and the pattern's not going to be symmetrical as far as like one side's going to be the same as the other, and you can't quite see the whole pattern. But basically I started and ended it with 2 O beads, and then I did 3 fire polish, an O bead, a couple of seed beads, a fire polish, a couple of seed beads, an O bead, and so forth. And I just developed a pattern, and then I worked my way down, and so I ended up having 1 grouping of 3 and then 2 of the singles. So there's a single and a group of 3, a single and a group of 3. And I just worked my way all the way down to the other end, which to be the right length. If I pull this up. So there's my one end here. Before I added the extra beads, and the thing is the length that I want it to be. So I held that there, put all my beads on, held it at the other side, and it all matched. So I have the right amount of beads on here now. So now I'm ready to do the hard part for me. I don't do a lot of working with soft flex, so crimping is not my favorite activity. So I'm going to put my crimp bead. Yeah, you're going to need a crimp bead cover too. You don't have to use one. You could not use one. It's up to you. And I have these little tiny set, and they're meant for this size crimp bead. So I have my crimp bead here. So let's get some of this other stuff out of the way so we have less focus issues. Okay, so I have my crimp bead here, and get back up. And this is the joy of finishing, okay, just so you know, and there's a lot of different finishing techniques on this bracelet, so it takes a long time to sort of get your stuff in order here. Okay, there's my crimp bead. So all I'm going to do is take my crimp bead, and I'm going to take this back through the crimp bead. So I have 2 strands of wire coming through the crimp bead, and I want them to lay beside each other. So they're not twisted all up, they're just laying beside each other. And obviously I don't need that much, so I'm pulling it down. I need a little loop at the top. Basically enough space to put my jump ring through and put my bead cover on. So let's see what's comparable. So it's about the same amount of space as one of your little 4mm beads. Okay, so that might help you to sort of get you an idea. So there's 2 parts in this plier. There's this part here, first part here, but at the back, which has the little opposite with a little toothy thing in it, and then has the front part where it rounds it out. So I'm going to put it to the back first, and I'm just going to level it off, and I'm going to squeeze. And if you need to, you can go up and down on it. And what it does, in my case, is it makes it smooth on this side, but on that side, I have a dent. See, there's a dent in it. So then I'm going to take it with a dent facing out, and I'm going to take the first part of my pliers, which is my curved part, try to get that in there so it's sitting nicely, and I'm going to come down on that. And sometimes I have to futz a little bit. And I'm just going around and around in a circle here to make sure that that's nice and crimped. Okay, so I have my crimp. Woohoo! First part done. Second part is to put a crimp cover on. So I keep some of my weird stuff like my crimp beads and my crimp covers in a big case. So I'm just going to grab a crimp cover. And this is probably a little bigger than I need, but that's okay. And what I tend to do is I take my crimp cover. Everybody has their own technique, what works for them. I just stick it, my crimp cover, this in the middle of my crimp cover. And it kind of is hard to hold, but I'm holding my crimp cover now. And then I'm going to take a pair of pliers and I'm going to try to transfer. If I can hold the wire, I do. There, holding the wire. So I'm going to take my thing and I'm going to just, okay, be nice. I'm going to use these. So you can use the rounded part of the crimper if you want. And just push gently. This is about little movements, not about big honking movements. And as you can see, it'll keep popping off for the first little while so you get it sealed enough that it won't pop off anymore. Okay. Make sure you can see that. Usually I have this about an inch from my nose when I'm working. So I just pinched it down. Now it won't fall off anymore. So I can start moving it around. I just have it in that first part, and I'm bringing down the edges. And this is about slow and steady wins the race. I'm trying to close up that gap. So this looks like a bead on the end. Ta-da! I have a bead. Yay! Not perfect, but it's a bead. I'm happy. Close enough for me. It looks like it's off a little bit. So if it's off a little bit, I just take these pliers and go like this, and there we go. So it's not off anymore. Okay, so I'm good. So my crimp cover's on, covers that mess up. And because I know these beads are big enough, I can slide it down and should be able to get, I know I can get those silver O beads through. May or may not be able to get it down this fire polished. Well, you don't have to. This has no security whatsoever. It's a decorative thing. Doesn't work. Take your pliers, or take your cutters, cut off the excess wire that's left. So I got it down through the 2 O beads. I'm good. Okay, so now I have to go to the other side. Now this is where it gets much more difficult. So I haven't cut anything off yet. I need to leave myself enough space to work. And one of the biggest things you can do that'll drive you crazy, and I'm just warning you ahead of time, is to try to cut just enough so you have enough to go through the loop. Don't be chintzy. This stuff's not that expensive. You will curse a lot. So give yourself like a good, I don't know, that's probably 2 inches or so. And then I'm going to cut it off. All right, so now I can get that. That's cut off. The main thing is here. So it's off. I can move that out of my way. So now I get to put a crimp bead on. And then I got to bring it around and back through the crimp bead. Now I could attach this directly to this piece here. I could just attach it directly there and then tighten it down, but I find it harder and it doesn't have the same movement because this tends to get stiff against it. So anyways, I'm going to bring that down and I'm just sort of trying to grab a hold of that tail that's come through. Okay. And I'm bringing it down to the beads. Okay. Let's put that tail through putting the tail through those 2 last beads like I had before on the other side. Grab a hold of that tail again. See how I'm just sort of bringing the wire through, bringing it around, pulling that tail. Now I want to have about the same size as the other side, so you could just take the other side and take a look. Oh, need to be a lot smaller. Okay, so that's more than small enough, and I'm leaving some room. If you take your beads and make them into a little round circle and stick them down and then work with them in that like little round circle. And the reason being is because then it gives you enough flexibility that it's not going to be overly stiff. Okay, so I'm ready to crimp. So I get my little crimper-to-dos out. And there's lots of space left. Don't freak out. You want some air for it to breathe. I'm going to be putting a bead on there, remember, which will take up some more space, and then it'll just leave a little bit of air space. So go to the back part there, stick it in, squish the snot out of it. If you're worried that you didn't get it all the way, go up and down, find that little dented side. And you squish. And I just go around and around and around a little circle. Okay. And now I'm ready to put on my bead cover. So I'm going to put my bead cover on like I showed you last time, and then we'll come back and we'll attach it to the bracelet. Okay, so after I got it attached, this is the end that I just attached, I just cut off the excess wire that was there, and as you can see there's lots of movement. It's not tight and stiff. It's got lots of flexibility, which is what I want. I don't want it to be tight and stiff. And then I'm going to use jump rings to attach this to this. So let me grab a jump ring, and let me grab a pair of pliers that'll open a jump ring. Find a little slot, another pair of pliers. Okay, so I have my 2 pairs of pliers. Stick them on either side of the slot. Give them a twist. So you're twisting it open like that, not like this. Don't pull out. You want to pull like that. It's that kind of motion, okay? Because you'll mess up your jump ring otherwise. Stick this through the jump ring. And it's easier at this point for me to use my fingers or use a pair of pliers to get it through. Come on. There's the jump ring on that one. And then I'm going to put the jump ring on this as well. Then I got to get a hold of the jump ring. So I've got one end of the piece, one end of the jump ring here, one of the jump ring there. And again, I'm just going to make the same motion. I'm coming back. Whoops. Okay, thank God it doesn't jump. And I'm going to just go back and forth until I know it's good and tight and shut. Make double check. Nope, not quite. I don't want it to come undone. So there's the 2 pieces attached. So you can see they're attached on the front here. So let's refocus. There you go. So you can see that I have the 2 pieces attached. So now I just need to attach the other side. And I don't know if you noticed, but it's going to work out perfectly as far as what's left. Okay, so you're not going to have this too big, the other one too small. Okay, and that's the idea, is you want to have the spacing. I like these outside ones to be just a little bit bigger than the inside one, but I mean a smidge. I'm just talking like a smidge bigger. Just adds more movement in the bracelet. So I'm going to attach that one, and then we're going to go, I might as well explain that, the other piece. So the other section I attached to this side, and I attached it directly, and then I put the bead cover, the crib cover on, and then as you can see, I use 6mm fire polish for this one. So I have my big old 6mm fire polish, and they're in the different colors. And at one point I just stuck on a charm. It's a dragonfly charm. I have a lot of them, so I like using them, and this is kind of boho, have fun. As you can see, everything's sort of going together so far. And I just did 2, did a couple of those, did 2, did a couple of those. I kept this section really simple. And this is your second wrap. Well, it's almost a second wrap that'll go around. That's just the stamp on the silver. Sorry. So yeah, this will go around and attach to your other end. This is your toggle clasp. So you have a toggle clasp. And then once I had the beads on for the length that I wanted. And this particular section is Remember, the other one was 5 inches. And this particular section from the tip of the wire to the tip of the wire is just over 6.5. So this section here of beads is 6.5. My toggle clasp is basically, when the toggle's in, 1 inch. So that's 7.5, and so that's a 7.5 inch bracelet. And then the 5, and then these two things add up to space, and then the little bit of space that the jump rings take on this side, and the same on the other side. And then this little bit here gives you the rest. So I did the same thing here. This one was much more difficult because it's the toggle. If I did do it again, I would put a jump ring here. And the reason being is because if I have to extend or shorten this, I have no way to do that. So I actually may redo this end. It's not very much wire. I may just redo this end, finish the one end open like I did, like this, where it's open, use a jump ring from there so that I can attach the toggle, and then that way I don't have to worry about, if I have to add a couple more jump rings, I can do that, and then it will make it nice and easy to extend the length if I need to. Because this is a Christmas gift that somebody ordered for me, from me, to make a custom piece for someone, and they have certain tastes and strengths and likes, so I'm trying to create something that sort of fits with their tastes and likes. So our third section is going to be a chain section. So you're going to need a piece of, this is a 5-inch chain, and I'm going to use jump rings to make up the distance. It's not quite, if I center it, let me just back out a bit here. So if I center this on this, you can see that it's, let's try to get this where you can see it. If I center this on this, it's not, doesn't match. So I'm going to need 2 or 3 jump rings here at the end. It was a piece of scrap chain. This is the size that I had. I was happy. This is close enough, it'll work for me. And then I'll show you how to make these little dangles. I'm making a bunch of different ones, and I'm just going to hang a few dangles that sort of match with the colors and the tones of what's going on. So you'll have the 3 different sections happening in this bracelet. So get yourself a piece of chain, 5, or it can be the exact length minus the jump rings, or it can be a little bit shorter, or it can be a couple of pieces of different styles of chain. It doesn't really matter. It's up to you what you want to do. Okay, and I'll come back and show you how to do that. Okay, so we're ready to do the wire piece, and as you can see, I've done a few already. I'm going to show you how to do some. So all I did was take some fire polished beads. This is a 6mm, this is a 4mm, and I took some findings. So these are spacer beads. I've got some of my O beads. Of course, I've got jump rings. I've still got my seed beads out, but they're up here a little bit higher where you can't see them, so that they're not messing up the focus. And I have some head pins. And these ones I got from Fire Mountain Gems, and these are 2-inch 23 gauge ball pins, so they have a ball on the end of them. So you can see there's a little ball on the end of them, little silver ball. So sometimes if the bead's really big, and I think these ones are all okay, yeah. If the beads are really big, you can't, it'll fall off even with the ball pin. So if that's the case, then you need to put a spacer bead. And so then you can put a spacer bead if you want, and then put something else on it. So I'm going to do this one with a spacer bead on the top and the bottom, just because I feel like, and I'm just making them slightly different from each other. So this one has a spacer bead top and bottom, and one of the big ones here has a spacer bead top and bottom. And then I just take my pliers, and I'm just going to do a quick wire wrap. So let me get this other stuff out of the way so it's not messing up the focus. Okay, so I have a quick wire wrap. There we go. Be nice. So all I'm going to do is take it, and I'm bending it forward. And once I bend it, then I'm going to take my round nose pliers, and I'm going to put them in next to the bend. This is pretty easy. I'm actually going to do it with a wire away from me so it doesn't drive me crazy. So this is what I have. And then I'm just going to take it up and over. There. I'm going to adjust my pliers, and then I'm going to bring it back up. Now when you get there, you're going to see that it's off-centered. So what I want you to do is tweak your pliers back towards yourself. It's going to make your tail go higher in the air, your scarf tail. And when you do that, it's going to bring it back. So then you bring your tail back to 90 degrees, and you're going to have, so then you're going to have this. This is what you're going to have left. You're going to have some space. You're going to have your beads on the bottom, and then you need to do a wire wrap. So I tend to use these pliers here, and I just grab my tail and bring it down a little bit. Take the round part of my pliers, and I hold on with the round part of my pliers, and I just, because it's 23 gauge, I can wrap it by hand. I just want to pull it up towards the loop though. I'm sort of pulling towards the loop as I go, and then when I do the second one, I want to lay it right beside it. Okay. And I'm just going to wrap it till these are fairly tight. They don't have to be super snug, but fairly tight. Usually it's 2 wraps, sometimes a little bit more. And then I take it where the wraps sort of end. I take my flush part of my cutters, put it up against the wire, and I cut. That's that off. Then I take another pair of pliers and I just tuck that little tail in so there's nothing sticking out. So there's one. So I'm just going to make a bunch of these so that I end up having a bunch of them. So I'll show you different ones. This is the same. This one's done with seed beads on either side and an O bead. So I'm just going to play around, and once I have them all done, then we'll just attach them to the chain. So let me show you one more wire wrap. So I'm going to take my big one. I'm going to stick an O bead. Let's make this one really funky. Seed bead, an O bead, this bead, an O bead, a seed bead, an O bead. Now you can use any kind of beads you want. But see, this one's different than any of the ones I've done so far. I'm just holding onto the beads with my hand. I'm going to take my pliers and put them up against the beads so the beads are tight. And then I'm going to push the wire forward. And you can use your normal pliers, it's fine. Then I'm going to take my round nose pliers, and I'm holding them like this. And then I'm going to bring this around. And when I got that far, it looks like a gooseneck. That's what I call it. I can get that to go back down again. There we go. So it looks like a little gooseneck. I readjust my pliers so that they're up now, and I go past it and around. Then I bring this, roll this back towards myself so that I have a loop sitting above. See? And then you take your other pliers, grab a hold of just the edge there, pull your, you want your wire to be sitting sort of right where the two of the circles meet. The circle and the wire meet, crosses each other, and then you're going to just go around and around a couple of times. And this doesn't have to be perfect because remember we're sort of doing a boho style. I'm going to take my pliers, flush side towards the work, cut it off. What's left, don't let it drop. Take my other pliers and tuck that little tail in. So I have another one. See? So I do assembly line till I have enough of these, and I'll just put this back on. Okay, so what the aim is I sort of figured out what I wanted. So I've got the one already on here, and it's sitting funny for some reason. There we go. Okay, so I just set my chain out, and I set my beads sort of where I wanted them. So I want 3 of the bigger ones, and then I needed 2 of these, whoops, 2 of the smaller ones. I don't want the 2 with the same funky bead, the spacer beads on them, so I'll put that one there, and then I need just to do 1 more. And yeah, it's a, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is an odd number. So, and then I'm going to need to attach them to my piece. So I'm going to do this one last one, and I'll come back and we'll attach it to my piece. When you're attaching these, One of the things you need to worry about is the direction of your beads. So, sorry, of your chain. So my chain has loops that go this way and then loops that sort of come up at you. So you see every second loop, you can see the hole better. So you can see that I've attached this one to this loop here, which has the hole showing to me. See? This one's the hole showing to me. This one now is the hole showing to me. So you want to, there's every second one. So I actually didn't pin this correctly. So what I use is a pin to help me. So I straighten, I'm bringing these around so that I can see the tops of the bead, every second link in this case, so that they're straight. And then on the last link where I want to keep it, I go like that. Okay, so see how those links are straight? And then this one I can just twist and turn till I get it to where I want it to be. So then you have, see how now it looks like it's nice and straight? You could pin it down, but then you have to be able to sort of move it. So I've got one of my jump rings open, and I'm just going to put these on. So I don't want them too close to the outside, so I'm just going to put it on the right. I want to make sure I'm putting it in the right plane. So I'm putting in one of those open ones that I'm looking at. There's every second one. And at this point, I can take it, even though it's pinned, I can take it and bring it up and close the jump ring. And this jump ring's being stubborn, so that's okay. As I said, this is not my strong suit. I've never claimed to be a jump ring expert. It's not something that I do a lot of. I use it for like this kind of stuff, but that's it. Okay, so I'm just rocking them back and forth. You know, whatever way you can. I'm just rocking it back and forth until it brings them together. And I know they're closed and they're on the same plane. Double check this way to make sure they're on the same plane this way. And then I know I'm good. So there's one on. So I'm just going to work my way down, adding them on that same plane. Remember, we want to make sure those holes are facing up so we can see the holes open. I know it's blurry at this point, but you can see the open holes. And I'm just going to attach all the rest of them, and then I'll show you how to attach it to the bracelet. Okay, so I've attached the one side, I've attached all the beads, and I've attached the one side, and now I need to attach the other side. And this is a good place to show you too. I thought about showing you this one, but then I realized you need to make sure that this isn't all twisted. So that's the other thing, is at this point you need to take your sort of chain and, you know, make sure that if you look, I'm hanging, so they're all hanging down. So make sure that it's not twisted. If it's twisted, they're not all going to hang down. See, like I'm twisting it around so that they're all hanging down, or at least close to. There we go. Those three are hanging down. So I can twist this around to make sure that it's all nice and level. And once I get that all where I want it to be, so let me just go slowly on this. These are like the little finishing touches that you want to go slow and get them all right, because this will make a difference to how this finished product looks and how it hangs. And a lot of people rush at this point because they're almost done and don't take the time to do this well, and what ends up happening is the finished piece ends up looking icky. Okay, so all right, so I need to open up another jump ring. And this one has to be opened fairly wide because it has to go through this little piece. So I'm going to put it through the little piece first, which needs me to hold on to it very little. So I got it through. So once I got it through, I can sit it like this, and then I can see how this needs to go on here. And I can actually even place it on there so that I don't get it all twisted around. Once I get it on the jump ring, oh, see, it came off of the other piece, so it's okay. I'm going to hold it with the open side up and put it on here. There we go. So I have both sides on there now. Then I can lift it at that point. Once I get both sides on, I can lift it. And then I can then close it. So I tend to close it part way like this because I can't get my pliers in really well this way. I double check. This looks like it's closed. So that what ends up happening is when it's on your wrist, this is all hanging. It all hangs the way you want it to. So everything hangs nicely. Okay, and that's what you want it to do. So let's put it on my wrist. Let's back out and we'll put it on my wrist. Okay, so I have the one end, whoops, and then I have the 3 pieces here that are gonna move around on each other. I'm gonna hang it so that the chain is on the outside. I just got myself twisted. I don't even know how. There we go. There we go. So chain's on the outside. I just put it down like this. I'm gonna bring it around the other bigger set of beads, and then I have my toggle clasp at the bottom that I need to do up, which I need to bring closer to my body to do. So I will bring it closer to my body to do it up. Oh, sorry about hitting the camera. There we go. So this is what I end up with. Move the bracelet out of the way. So I have this lovely mixture of beads. I have this wonderful bracelet. I am so happy with this bracelet. There we go. So I have this wonderful mixture of beads that I'm super happy about. I have peyote strip. It's all on one toggle, which sits on the back. The flatter discs sit towards the back, if you can see. So you have a flatter disc there and another flatter disc over here, so that you don't have a lot of bulk where the clasp is, which is great. You have the dangly bits. You have a charm that's dangling over here. It's sort of caught up on something right now. There we go. So I have another, I might add another jump ring to that one. It's not dangling as much as I'd like it to, but so yeah. So you have lots of fun, lots of movement. This is very boho-ish. It's I like it a lot. It's a lot of fun. Yay, happy. So I hope you learned something. This is quick, down and dirty of all the little bits and pieces. And I hope you liked this video and that you learned something. If you did, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to help out, support me in this channel and continuing to make great videos, tutorials like this for you, please consider becoming a patron. You can check the link below to find me on Patreon, and you can do it for as low as $2 a month. And I would super appreciate it. It would help me with all the supplies and hopefully getting a new camera. I think we'd all love a new camera. All right, and take care. Bye.